morning, everyone. My name is Kathleen McGuinness. I'm Director of Community Relations for Smith Life Home Care, and we're excited to bring you today's episode of Ask the Expert. We have our guest, Judy Berman, who is Executive Director for Capitol Hill Village, and she's going to explain all of the nuances of her village in Washington, D.C. So first, we'd like to ask you a few questions about yourself, and then we have some more questions about your village, Judy. First of all, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about yourself so our viewers will have a chance to know you a little better this morning.
Sure. Well, good morning. So I am a 20-year resident of Capitol Hill in Washington, and I have, except for a brief stint as an academic, I have been in the nonprofit sector for my entire professional career. I've been at Capitol Hill Village for about 2 years now, just over 2 years. So I started right just before the pandemic hit. So it's been a little bit of trial by fire. And my background has mostly been the work that has drawn me has mostly been a lot of policy work. So I've worked on long-term care policy, among them, in Washington and to some extent nationally. And so, so on Capitol Hill, I live here with my husband. I have one child left at home, one in college, and a house full of four-legged critters.
I like that. Yeah, I read your resume, very impressive. And I'm sure Capitol Hill is delighted to have your capable policy mind in place up there on the Hill. I'm also a fourth generation Washingtonian, which is a little bit of a rarity, although I live in Maryland now, but certainly love DC. So our next question is, what is a Capitol Hill Village, assuming that perhaps one of our viewers has no idea what we mean by a village?
Sure. So a village is kind of, it's trying to fill the niche between the choices that that folks tend to see for aging, right? Which is you either, stay in your home and you're isolated, you have no service, no support, or you have to move to a different community, a continuing care community, or, an active 55 plus community. And so the villages are really trying to meet the need of folks who want to age in their current communities, in their current neighborhoods, but with some of the services and supports that you might find in a supported housing environment. So the village is really, it's member driven, it's volunteer based. I like to think of it as an opt-in community, because we're open to anybody, but we're not a traditional social service agency. It's not, you don't come knocking at our door just because you need something. You come to our door because you want something. You want community, you want to age in place, you want to have a healthy and engaged elderhood. And that's part of what the village is. And then of course, once you have this village, when a crisis happens, something urgent happens, the village is there for you.
It is such a godsend to so many people. From my own experience, I lived in a large house in Potomac, Maryland, and 3 years ago, I moved to Friendship Heights. And the Friendship Heights Neighbors Network Village was instrumental in supporting my husband, who was ill and needed a lot of their services, driving to doctor's appointments, just being able to have somebody to walk around the neighborhood with for men's lunches. It really is a great sense of community and a good way to connect in if you happen to be new to an area, new to Capitol Hill.
That's right. We serve a lot of the folks who are part of Capitol Hill Village are people who have lived here 30, 40, 50 years and found that their life changed when, the kids were no longer in school, when they retired, people moved, and, this was a way to sort of build and retain community. And then a lot of the folks that we serve are people who moved here either because, they wanted to live in an urban environment in this, sort of the last third of their life, or they have kids and grandkids in the neighborhood. And so they have that network, but they want a network of their peers as well.
Right.
So
Right.
we do, kind of comes from both directions.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the services that you provide for those trying to age in place on Capitol Hill?
Sure. So, I think of the villages as more than the sum of their parts, right? So I can list out a number of services that we provide, but just, be mindful, it doesn't really tell the whole story. So, we do provide rides to doctor's appointments. We have affinity groups. So, any member can say, I want to start a group. And we have things like, we've got bridge and mahjong. We've got people who walk together, people who bike together, people who sit and do, yarn, knitting and crocheting together, people who watch films and get together and talk about them, a history and biography book group. So there's all kinds of just sort of groups that you can tap into or create, right? And that's the important thing, is that we try to help people connect with others who share their passions. We'll come in and change a light bulb that you can't reach, which is important for fall safety, right? If you can't see, it's easier to trip. We will, help move heavy furniture, do gardening and other kinds of home maintenance. And then we also, one of the things that I tell our members, try to communicate is, if you don't know exactly what you need, but you're feeling overwhelmed, call us. Sometimes something comes up and you don't even know where to start. And rather than listing out every single service that we offer, we say, give us a call, we'll talk you through it. Oh, well, we can have a volunteer come and do this while you do that, or, keep you company while you're working through this, or somebody to consult with. So we really try to be a thought partner in terms of what services people need.
Yes, and also a resource of information, especially if one of your village members wants a new will or a trust of some sort. You have knowledge, I'm sure, of reputable elder law attorneys.
We have vetted vendors, and that's one of the things that members look to us for, because we have folks that we have screened, that they're vetted, that other members have used, and that we can recommend with confidence. So we absolutely do that as well.
So then how does someone become a member of your village, and are there different levels of membership?
So anybody who lives in our area can become a member. And the reason why we restrict it to the local geographic area is because we want our volunteers and our staff to be able to reach people. So that's why villages are so hyper local. It's not because we're trying to be exclusive, but rather that we want to be within reach. We're an actual community, not just a virtual community. Anybody, so we have a membership application. People join us as volunteers. They become volunteers and then they become members. They become members and then they become volunteers. So there's lots of ways to tap in to the village. Right now we only have one. We have two types of membership. One is a social member who is eligible to participate in all of our affinity groups and other sorts of social activities. And then we have regular membership, which includes volunteer and a special thing that Capitol Hill Village has, which is our care services.
So Judy, some of the other services that you provide, is there one that you'd like to single out for a little bit of conversation, like care management or case management?
Sure. So what Capitol Hill Village has is a care services unit. And our care services unit does a lot of specialized things. So we have social workers on staff who can provide case management, and that's to help folks, maybe folks who are managing a chronic illness or cognitive impairment. And our case managers can help them and their loved ones think through what they need, make sure they've got advanced directives in place, make sure that they have access to, we make referrals to home care agencies, including Smith Life, one of our partners, and work with the case managers. Also work with people who have planned hospitalizations or unplanned, where we will work with the social worker in the hospital and make sure that our members are getting what they need. The other thing that our care services folks do is they supervise a specialized set of volunteers. So we have a program called Village Connections. And our Village Connections volunteers work with members who have various, chronic needs, but also just who may feel isolated because of they have mobility issues, they don't get out as much. And so our Village Connections volunteers are specially trained. They'll do, daily calls, home visits. They'll come, they'll take the member out to lunch, or they will sit and go through mail with them, whatever the member needs. But the difference is that those volunteers and those members have care services as a backup. So if our volunteer notices that the member that they're visiting is looking a little unkempt, like they're not taking as good care of themselves,
Right.
they have somebody to report that to, and then care services, our social workers can step in and make sure that that this isn't a decline in cognitive ability and things like that. So it's working together. It's social workers working together with volunteers to help our members feel supported and connected, like they have a friend in the neighborhood, but with this professional service sort of behind that to back it up.
Sounds great. I'm sure it's a very valuable part of the program that you offer and the community that you serve.
Mm-hmm.
So we're wrapping up our time here. Is there anything else you want the community to know about Capitol Hill Village? How long have you been in business before?
Capitol Hill Village is going to be celebrating our 15th anniversary in October. We are actually the second village that started in the country and have helped get other villages started. DC has a network of 13 villages called the DC Villages that works with our Department of Aging and Community Living to provide a range of supports and services. And we are just very happy and proud to be part of this community. One of the things that Capitol Hill Village also does is, unlike some villages, so we actually provide services, certain services throughout the district. So some services and things are limited to our network, our immediate geographic area. Mm-hmm. And then other programs like our LGBTQ programming is available to seniors throughout the city. And that's something that we feel very proud of. We also do transportation programming for, so if any older adult in the city has questions about what transportation services they might be eligible for, has questions about how to enroll, things like that, that's something that we can also help with.
Great. And how would they call you, or how would they get in touch with you?
The best way to reach out to Capitol Hill Village is through our info@capitolhillvillage.org email, or 202-543-1778. And another thing about the village, you can call and talk to anybody who answers the phone. You can leave a message in any box you get to, so don't let any voicemail system get you confused. Just leave a message and we make sure that it'll get routed to the right person. So please do call and email us.
Excellent. And we will also have a slide with your information at the end of this video portion. And we just want to say thank you again for coming on our program today and sharing valuable information about Capitol Hill Village and the community that you serve. A few words about Smith Life Home Care before we close, just so that our audience knows that Smith Life Home Care is one of the few home care providers that is also LGBTQ certified. We are SAGE certified, and the majority of our home care providers have had training and cultural competency for that part of our community. We've also started new service in Friendship Heights, Chevy Chase, that is specifically to support the 10 condominiums in Friendship Heights that is aging in place. Many of those people only want 1 hour or 2 hours of service a day, which is pretty impossible to get elsewhere. And we have just started providing that March 1st, where a family member, whomever, can get an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening to help them get dressed or help them close the day out. So you would reach me, Kathleen McGuinness, Director of Community Relations for the award-winning Smith Life Home Care at 301-816-5020. Or you, of course, can look at our website, www.smithlifehomecare.com. So again, thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next month on Ask the Expert. Bye.